I'd like to call the meeting to order for Monday, May 19, 2025, and it's at 6:01 PM. If everyone could please face the flag and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, Susan, could you please do roll call?
Sure. LaRose, present. Layton. Stasinski.
Present.
Reardon.
Here.
Hepmer.
Here.
Walsh.
Here.
Andres.
Present. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on to the agenda, if we could please review for any conflict of interest and move for an approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of April 21st.
I think we're just on the
Oh,
agenda.
sorry, the agenda. I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second that.
All right, motion made by LaRose, supported by Reardon to approve the agenda for Monday, May 19th, 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Any opposed? All right, motion passed. Moving on to public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? All right. No public comment at this time, so we'll move on to correspondences. We did have a few emails this month. One of them, which we could disregard, was for a reservation application for the Grace McDonald Pavilion. There was an email from Sam for the Power Produce Program. Then Peter from our geocaching event, he sent a thank you, I think, to Sam, Beth, and I think that, and I, just thanking us for having them and hosting the event. Then it looks like there's a document here on our desk for the Agriculture and Open Space Forum. That's from Claire. And then there was another email regarding the little libraries, and I think Sam has been in touch with
Is that
Carrie.
looking for kid books?
She's the one that kind of helps maintain the little libraries.
Yeah, it was one of the
So-
volunteers just inquiring about like our stockpile of books and getting some books for the summer season. So I helped coordinate that.
Did she
Yeah.
actually ask for children's books? I actually have a ton of them.
I can find out if we need more.
That's all I saw. I don't know if anyone has anything else to add to that. All right, we can move on to reports. Garrison, could you please give us a treasurer's report?
Yeah, you can see that on page 3. As you can see, it's been a pretty quiet year for us. We're only at $7,200 spent so far as of April 30th. So yeah, nothing big going on, no big invoices paid.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to staff report. Sam?
Yeah, so you guys probably all saw the email, but I just wanted to give you guys an update that we received the MEDC RAP grant, Revitalization and Placemaking Grant, for $796 or $796,941. That's going to support placemaking efforts along the Safe Routes to School trail over here, as well as the East Bay Corners Civic Plaza being constructed. It's going to also include a connection to the Township Hall and the library over here to that Safe Routes to School
Oh,
connection.
really?
So
That would be
That
great.
little extension of sidewalk was included in that grant. And the planning department staff will be implementing this project. So more to come on that as we work through that. We're also working on implementing the cornhole and fire pit project over at Grace McDonald Park as a combined project now. So we are working on an RFP with Wade Trim on that, and they will be hopefully getting that prepared by June. So hopefully going to be issuing that shortly. The little libraries, I do know, do need teen and adult genre books. I will find out about the children's books and let you know. And there's an update about Jen's Park. So we had Seeds come out and do an evaluation of the poison ivy out there. They will be working to remove that in the next few weeks. And then we'll come back next year to kind of, and do some, just see how effective that was, and then remove as needed if possible. As well as we're working on the swing. So we have people working on we've reached out to the installer for that, so we're working on that. Those should hopefully be happening kind of in tandem with one another. And then in looking at the banners policy for the parks area, the legal team had some serious concerns about First Amendment issues, so we will not be moving forward with a policy on that, just based on the liability that could be present with the banner issue. And that was for like sports teams putting up sponsorship banners in the parks. I just wanted to give a little shout out to Oriana and thank them for providing food for our geocaching event that we recently just had. They very graciously provided snacks and beverages, and that was awesome. We had about 15 people that, I can give that update later. And then, well, I guess that's kind of a nice segue into the geocaching update.
Yeah, all right. Moving on to the geocaching subcommittee report. As you all are aware, we hosted an event over at Grace McDonald Park. We had Peter, which he's been at our meetings, and he kind of helped get our geocaching up and going. He was there, and then he brought a handful of other experienced geocachers to assist and partake, and say it was a pretty good first go at hosting a geocaching event. So, like Sam said, Oriana donated some beverages and snacks for the event as well, which is very generous. Yeah, anyone else that was there want to say anything?
I know my buddy brought his 5-year-old son, who was literally running from one to the next, and then wanted to go to the next park to find the next cache, so that was pretty rewarding to see. And honestly, I've been finding them now that I've downloaded the app, and I'm walking down the Tart Trail, I'm finding them now too, so I'm gonna probably spring for the premium service on the app, just because, so I can really get into it. But yeah, it was overall, I'd say, a great event.
Yeah. You have any more to add to that, Sam?
I don't think so. We had about 15 participants. That was what I had kind of counted when we were there, and all 3 of the subcommittee members attended, so that was awesome. We had the township supervisor there. I was there, so we had some good staff turnout. Yeah, it went pretty great. It was fun to watch everybody run around and find stuff.
All right. There's no more for the geocaching subcommittee. We can move on to the Food Security Advisory Committee.
Yeah, so exciting news. So we are on track to open June 5th for the market every Thursday, 2 to 6 until October 2nd. We had 21 vendors apply for the season, with 18 of them starting for the first market. The vendors list was posted on social media and then is also on the website. I also have the flyers for the farmers market promotion and the Power of Produce on your desks. If you would like them in digital format, please ask, and I will send them to you to share with whoever you'd like. The Power of Produce program was shared with the schools and the library, and there was also a press release done to get all that information out there. If you can think of other entities that I should reach out to about it, let me know. But we had all of the East Bay Township schools here in the corridor, as well as Courtade. And I ordered some new heavy-duty stands for our signage because they broke last year during kind of the placing them in the dirt situation. So we'll see how those go, as well as I updated our signage with the new times on it. So we have updated signage for that. And I think that's all I have.
Quick question for the Power Produce, was that, they have to be East Bay Township residents, or?
They have to attend an East Bay Township school, is
Okay,
how we
okay,
have that.
school.
So they don't necessarily need to reside in East Bay Township, but they would go to.
Have to be part of
one
the schools.
One of the schools in this area.
Thank you. All right, if there's no more,
I guess if you were homeschooled and you lived in East Bay Township, you would still be able to apply, but I don't know how I would have gotten you the information.
okay. I just was gonna share it, but
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
know if there's questions.
And they got that big sport complex now. Isn't that the homeschoolers that do that?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
That's off Garfield,
Yeah, it's-
yeah. Is that East Bay Township, or?
Well, no, if it was
Yeah.
that far over, it would probably be Garfield Township. It
Supposed
depends,
to-
because sometimes it like swoop.
It's Garf-
Garfield kind of
yeah.
swoop. I don't know, anyway.
It's close, but
Yeah.
be cool if you got some homeschoolers.
Did they go to St. Elizabeth?
Yes,
Oh,
yep,
nice.
St. Elizabeth, GTA, the elementary in the middle over here, East and Cherry Knoll, and then Cortade.
Perfect.
Awesome. All right. We can move on to the approval of the minutes from April 21st, 2025.
I move to approve the minutes from April.
I'll second that.
All right. Motion made by Hetmer, supported by Walsh, to approve the minutes from April 21st, 2025. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, moving on to business before the Parks Commission, 9A, the Pine Grove Park Survey results and report. As you guys can all see in the packet, there's all the results from survey. It looks like we did have, 73 responses to that survey, and I'd say overall pretty good response and some good ideas and suggestions, so. Do you have anything else to add to that, Sam? But I guess, yeah,
Yeah, I think in reviewing kind of the overall results of the survey, it sounds like people really enjoy the park as it is. They utilize it quite frequently and for a diversity of reasons. Some people walk over just to sit outside with friends and family. Other people use it more actively to utilize the basketball courts or the slides. I think that like community park kind of neighborhood characteristic is something that I think people have concerns about losing if upgrades are implemented. And I think that's something we can navigate as a commission, figuring out how to maintain that smaller park feel while also implementing potentially some of the ADA improvements that were suggested and things like that. I know that those swing or those like toggle toys on the spring are really popular, but they're also not safe and not ADA. So, there are certain
I think
aspects.
what they're looking for is just simple playground, basic slide, basic swings, climbing structure, the age demographic that, I think most of them that responded to that survey were probably like between 5 to 12 age group. So, I mean, the way that the playground is set up is meeting, the intended users, but just spiffing it up and, making sure it's safe equipment would be huge. But, I mean, it sounds like they just want, nothing extraordinary, nothing crazy, just something simple for the kids to play on.
I know at the Parks convention that they had, I think I picked up quite a few brochures, and one of them had like a spring load type, like what we have. I'm sure it would be more safer in that, but I could look at where those catalogs, that one is at, and pull that.
Yeah.
I had a question about, there were a lot of comments about porta potties, and can we get an ADA one there, I mean, that should be like no problem to get a handicap one out there, and I thought, oh, didn't.
A lot of times it's just inventory, you know.
Oh, yeah,
You just,
when you call.
yeah,
What,
it's hit or
so,
miss.
when do the porta potties go in? Like, they go in like now, or,
I would have to ask.
okay, because I know it was like the spring, right? They don't,
Yeah.
like, they're not there in the winter.
Yeah, I didn't.
Usually
it was-
after school gets out, I think.
Probably
somewhere.
I thought it was
Memorial
the month
weekend
of
to
May,
Labor Day.
yeah, I thought it was the month of May when they were put in, and.
See, there-
I was there over there, I was over there, I drove by on Friday and it was not out, so I can
Oh,
find
okay.
out.
So
can
I
find
bet
out
it's
when,
on the
but
list
it's
of-
probably somewhere around.
Yeah, and we have two out there normally, don't we? Do we have
Just
two?
the one.
Just
one.
really one there?
That was a suggestion, though, was
To add to
To
sign.
have multiple, which may be a good idea to have a ADA and a
And a regular.
regular one.
And a regular, yeah.
I think the ADA was also like with people with little kids, found it challenging to navigate the smaller
Yeah,
porta potty.
yeah.
Makes sense.
I think I saw a comment too, I'd assume the supplier is writing the kind of maintenance of it on there, but I thought I saw somewhere where,
Yeah, there are a couple of
Yeah.
people. How often, do we know how often they get
I
service?
think it's weekly or a couple times a week,
Oh,
but it would be something worth checking.
Yeah, I know every time they service it, they restock and put new
Yeah.
hand sanitizer and stuff.
It'd be nice if we could just have one porta potty and one ADA.
Oh, just the one
Yeah,
regular one?
because instead of lining up side by side, two of them. I don't know.
I think one
If-
ADA would
if-
probably be,
Yeah, if we could get one.
Just do one of the bigger ones?
Yeah, because you think of it, most are going to be with their parents, most are going to be
Yeah,
little
and it
kids.
is easier when you got little ones to get into the ADA one and
For sure.
navigate. Otherwise, you're like creeping the door, but. Look at- Oh, the days.
Another thing, I'm looking at that survey is, I don't think it would take much to, get that park up to speed and, up to date. And I think that's something we could probably work on fairly quick if we so choose to, because I know we got priority lists. But I know there's other things like Grace McDonald that needs basketball hoops, and, basketball hoops are needed there. If we were able to find that right supplier, they could cover multiple parks for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. With the basketball hoops, the construction of them at Grace may be difficult with that. Like we're over at Pine Grove, they're independent of any fencing, where I know that at Grace, there's that challenge of figuring that out. And I don't know that I think that the boards were asked for, but I think the main thing was like that we have hoops on all the nets
Yeah.
or nets on all the hoops was kind of like, I thought would be like a low-hanging fruit type of thing we could implement pretty quickly. There is the proposed implementation schedule as part of that report as well, so that kind of has like a 1 to 3 year, 3 to 5 year, and 5 to 10 year kind of broken out as like what would be the lower lift items that could be implemented, like changing out the ADA restroom or basketball nets, things like that, versus like, somebody suggested having a drinking water source. Well, that's installing a water line, and that's a lot more infrastructure to be installed and money to spend and things like that. So, yeah, there's kind of like a breakdown of how those could potentially be looked at.
I felt that the proposed implementation of the schedule was spot on. That was well thought of, what was important, included looking back on the surveys. I think that's perfect, that 1 to 3 years, everything there, I think is achievable and also of need. And I loved how painting existing courtyard for a pickleball, still being able to use it as a basketball court. I think that's excellent idea. The garden, they said, like a small community garden, but in the 5 to 10 year possibly, but at least get some native flowering things over there. That's a good idea. Picnic tables would be to have that would be a great resource. People go sit and maybe have a meet up somewhere and have a snack there at the picnic tables. And the fencing, I thought was kind of important. I know I attended one of those seminars there at the rec presentation at the resort, and that was the biggest thing for anyone that had a needed child, is that parameters of being fenced in, you know, so,
I think of just Claire's kid who likes to run.
yeah. And I think they wanted to keep it simple like it is right now, but with nice improvements. So again, I don't know who put together the proposed schedule, but I can't add anything to it because I think it's right where we need to go with that park.
Do we know how many picnic tables and swings there are there right now? I can't think of it.
Is there
There's like 2 or
any,
3 benches.
I don't think there's any picnic
Yeah,
tables.
we do not have
There
any
isn't.
picnic tables.
Yeah,
And is it just normal, standard swings? Is that all that's there?
yeah.
So I know,
Old school ones, is that what you mean?
right, just like the
Yeah.
black, hard plastic bottom, normal
Yeah.
ones.
The Scoopy ones.
I just know, I don't know if why I never noticed it before. Now I have a small child. But at Grace McDonald, they have one that, it's a normal black leather one like that, but then like right around here, there's also a baby one mounted, so you
Yeah.
can like swing at each other. And I thought that was so simple.
Didn't we get 2 of those? Are they both at Grace McDonald, or did we just get one?
I only saw one of those at Grace, but there's also like a big adaptive one right next to it.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
I think the issue is, you know, it depends on how many swings you can
Yeah.
have in a bank area, because you're supposed to have, you know, either like infant swings together and, you know.
Oh,
swings
sure, I
that
didn't think about
mix
that.
match.
I was just thinking, yeah, we could swap out one swing. That seems like a pretty
I'm
low hanging
assuming
fruit.
that's the case, of.
Yeah,
I would have to also look at ADA, because once you start
Mm-hmm.
swapping things, you have to at least provide one ADA option within, like 50%. So like, or
Gotcha.
if you only have 2, it has to be 50%, because you have to provide one option. If you had 3, then it would be one of the 3, you know, and then it incrementally. So I don't know how that would, I can look into that for the swings.
I like the new picnic tables that we got.
At Grace,
At
I was just gonna
Grace.
say that when we were at Grace for the geocaching event, they're
Yeah.
really
Is
nice.
that gonna be like the go-to vendor for like when you need picnic tables? Because, I mean, if it's
I
just a
think-
matter of ordering tables, I mean, we could probably knock that out, right?
I think
Yeah.
we're trying to go, maintenance-free items, and I think they're pretty good, so.
I can
that-
ask Beth what the experience was working with with that particular contractor and see if it was something that was good.
And now they make the Adirondack rockers out of the Polywood is the company, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
made
I've
from
seen some.
recycled plastic. So a couple of those over there would be really nice.
I'm thinking a couple of those at my house. I didn't know they made a rocker option of those.
And some nice sized benches, like the bench at Arbutus, something that has a back, with the families and that.
Yeah, right now
so,
it's just basic wood benches around the pickleball court.
Yeah.
For the most part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we can look to upgrade some of that furniture too. And I love the picnic tables. Arbutus is great, all that redone there, that's really good.
It's another area we have to think of playground equipment too.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about like things we can do now and later. Are we kind of wanting to keep all of the like zones of the park pretty much the same? Like not a lot of shifting of amenities from like this corner to another or what have you?
What are you thinking?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, I know, I'm just wondering, like, is anybody envisioning that?
At Pine Grove?
I know we talked about updating like the small little springy ones, so
No,
there's.
I'm just talking about like moving zones. Like, we're gonna keep the layout of the park pretty much the same. Like, the playground equipment is gonna stay here and like,
I would say
I
the
think
less
so,
changes,
yeah.
the better was the
Okay.
vibe I got from the survey.
cool. I'm done with that. I just wanted to see what you guys were thinking, because I'm just looking at some of the other stuff, like, for example, native plantings, we can do like a fall planting this year. We can plan for that, because that's also a good time to like get those plants in the ground, so just like, wouldn't want to like plant them and then have to dig them up and move them. That's kind of where I'm going with that.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of shady over there too,
That's
as
okay,
far
they're
as,
shade tolerant plants.
yeah.
Do we have power there? I know lighting was one of the other things, along with fencing.
I think that all we have for power is solar for that flag.
Yeah, I
If
don't
that's
know.
still existing.
I don't think there's power.
Yeah, and
I
there's no
mean-
water, that's for sure.
There's power, but we don't have
Yeah.
a service.
It would have a line somewhere very close.
But we might want to just get a price to see about having water there, because eventually with some kind of plantings and that drinking fountain, to see what it would be to hook up to the water for that park.
It's probably township water,
Yeah, that whole neighborhood has municipal water.
yeah.
So you're saying we'd get a deal?
No,
Not necessarily.
it's not,
There is no deal on water. Okay.
but, yeah, I guess overall, pretty good survey, good report, and proposed implementation schedule.
It'd be nice to buy a couple new things for that over there, like that number one, picnic tables or benches
Yeah.
this year yet.
Yeah,
And I agree with Ally, maybe some native plantings in the fall.
this is probably a good document to bring with us on our parks tour. So,
And it'd be great to have money enough this year to do the pickleball, do that court, because right now I don't think it's in really bad shape, but to get that ready, that they could start using the pickleball yet at the end of this year, maybe?
I think
Or
a couple
earlier.
people have already started coming over and using it.
Using
They
the
have like a
portables.
mobile setup, but yeah, definitely.
yeah. Definitely need some TLC before you just paint it, so. Have to have someone go look at it and give us pricing. But,
Sounds good.
all right, well, if there's no more from the Pine Grove Park Survey, we can move on to business before the Parks Commission, 9B, the Power of Produce vendor agreement, which you can see that in your packet as well.
I have one last question, though, on that Pine Grove before we move forward. Did anyone answer that question number 36? Can we blow off fireworks
I saw
there?
that, I saw that.
Oh, geez, are you serious?
Do we know that answer? Do you know?
You cannot blow off fireworks in the park, no.
It's an anonymous.
I do know the answer to that. I did not
Backyard,
get,
yes, not-
we don't know, they're anonymous respondents, so I could not reach out to whoever asked that question.
I assume we have that posted there on the township website, maybe, or somewhere?
I'd have to look, but I believe it's in your rules that we just looked at last
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
And we have rules posted there, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So the Power of Produce Program vendor agreement, it looks like there's an agreement put together by Sam, I would assume, for getting the vendors on board with the program.
It is very similar to the SNAP contract that you guys have that's currently approved on file for people. So it's just essentially swapping out how the different programs function a little bit differently. It's just to get an agreement in place for vendors to understand how they'll be reimbursed and that they'll be participating in the program, that they understand the rules, they aren't going to sell the coupons to anybody, that type of stuff.
As quick observation, but that coupon, when I first read it, looked like a $4 pop coupon to buy a pop.
Okay, I will.
That's what I first
I
noticed
looked
when
at and saw popcorn.
yeah,
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
take out pop, we'll just put coupon.
minor details, but when I
No,
first
it's
saw
good.
them, I'm like, oh, I can get
When you're designing stuff, you're just looking at it so much, so it's always good to
Well.
get a new set of eyes. It's like, wait a minute.
Kids are gonna want sodas after all these.
Somewhere in there, so our branding sort of follows suit,
well,
maybe?
The East Bay Farmers Market. logo.
yeah, it's got the East Bay Corners Farmers Market, which is,
But I
On the
mean, our,
coupon.
our branding is the little oval with the trees and the water and the blue. And it says East Bay
but
Township.
this is a farmer's market.
I mean, I can add, I can,
Well,
I
that was
can,
there when I went to the seminar there at the resort, the branding,
Yeah.
to follow suit for townships, to sort of stay with your colors, and so that they know, they can identify that, oh, that's East Bay Township, like that.
I
It
think
was
it's
just
for
a
like a
suggestion.
broader, like marketing materials, like brochures and website and communications, but I think for something like this, having the farmer's market logo is plenty.
Most appropriate.
Yeah, because it's a coupon that a child is gonna hold in their hands for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but the adult's gonna take them there, and they're gonna go, oh, that's from East Bay
The
Township.
adult is a vendor who's taking it, who already knows
So-
where they are and who
It
they're.
was just as an artist's suggestion.
Sure.
Just take the word pop off.
For looking at the other side of the coupon, it's pop with a little o.
Yeah.
I mean, something
Power
like-
of produce, I think it's just the textile that probably is all
Oh,
capitals.
yeah.
And so I can remove the pop verbiage from that, and I can make the pop on that other portion of the coupon just say power of
Power of
produce.
produce, yeah. Yeah, if you could squeeze power of produce in there somewhere, that'd be
I
great.
will,
Because then that's completely informative.
yes.
Yeah, I think everything looks good. There's a possible motion to approve this if,
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 Power Produce Vendor Agreement as described.
I second.
Actually, with the recommended updates that we spoke of, with removing pop.
all right. Motion made by Walsh, second by Reardon to move to approve the 2025 Power Produce Vendor Agreement as described, presented, and discussed with changes. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passed. Okay. If there's no more to discuss with business, we can move on to public comment. Is there any public comment at this time?
I got something I want to talk about, but I don't know if it's best at public comment or where would you prefer me to do it, public comment, I guess?
We can,
Just about the
yeah, we can do it now.
State Park Bridge.
Sure.
You know, I was listening to the radio, and it sounds like, you know, the county gave their input on, you know, how they felt about the bridge, and it sounded like, you know, that maybe the East Bay Township should possibly take a stance since it falls in there, and I was just wondering how you guys felt about that. You know, is it something that we're concerned about? Or should we make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees, or should we just sit back?
Well, I think Claire's been quoted as saying we don't technically have jurisdiction over the DNR. While it resides in East Bay Township, it's a state park, and they can essentially do what they want.
Yeah, I mean, they can, but I mean, I'm talking about like letters, you know.
Let our
support,
community know that we're-
Letting them know that, you know, these entities feel this way, you know, that's essentially what they're doing. I mean, I personally kind of neutral on it. At first, I was against it, but now I'm kind of in the middle, so. But,
I think there's a lot to that, being US 31.
better stay neutral.
And it's a state park, and then also MDOT plays a huge role in what's allowed and not allowed and cost.
And isn't the road, or not the road, but the state, who is liable for the repairs in that currently right now? No,
So,
there's ever been a township.
The DNR owns the bridge, and then MDOT has jurisdiction over the road. So that's kind of how the ownership and jurisdictional aspects work. And then,
Crossover.
yeah, it's definitely challenging to figure out who's on first with that one a little bit at the beginning, but.
I mean, essentially, the bridge is not ADA accessible, removing and putting in other safe crosswalks or whatever they have planned is now ADA accessible in those ways, but building a,
Sounds like the wheels are already in motion too for all this, so they probably got a budget allocated, all that. So this is kind of after the fact, trying to, which I don't, yeah.
I think they're using American Rescue Plan funds, so there is a timetable on when they have to expend the funds, otherwise they don't have them anymore. So I know that that's driving a lot of the process.
So maybe it's better just stay neutral.
I'm pro safe crossings of the road, however they come.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if there's no other public comment or comments at this time, we can move on to our upcoming meeting dates. The park tour, which is June 11th, 2025 at 5 PM. We'll be starting at Arbutus Lake Number 5 Park and then going from there. And then the regular Parks Commission meeting is June 16th, 2025 at 6 PM start time.
I will not be there for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I will be there for the parks tour, so I can just send my notes.
Yeah, be good.
suggestions.
And then is everyone good with meeting at Arbutus 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we agreed on it. last
Yep.
meeting.
Might go
Okay.
early and find a cache.
Yeah. There's a woodpecker yesterday
Going after the cache?
in the same tree. I thought it was pretty cool. I got a picture of them, but big pileated woodpeckers, so, but, all right. If there's nothing else, can adjourn the meeting for Monday, May 19th, 2025 at 6:37 PM.